Ann Webster here, talking about Native American music and dance. Just going to start off with a brief history of the Native American tribes that we have here in Minnesota, with a map of the land that they occupied in the early 1800s, the north being occupied by the seven Anishinaabe tribes, which include the Chippewa and the Ojibwe in the north, and in the south, with the Dakota and the Sioux. And then on the bottom, you will see a map of the land that they now occupy. And I bet if you look really closely, you can see the difference. So, keeping that in mind, we will start with Native American music. The purpose of Native American music is really simple. It basically includes religious and ceremonial purposes, celebrations. It can be used for healing ceremonies, to bring rain, to defeat enemies, marriages, all sorts of different things, to communicate with the spirits or the spirit worlds. And just to clarify, when I say spirits and spirit worlds, I'm not talking, oh, great Ouija board. I'm talking more of spirits of the natural world, Mother Nature, things like that. It can also be used for folklore, oral traditions, stories, lullabies, which in their own rights can pass down things to children, such as their roles in society. But it doesn't all have to be serious. It can also be used for just purely entertainment, for fun, for social purposes. Some of the general characteristics are the main things are vocals are the foundation, are the base for Native American music. Along with that, something to keep in mind are the use of things called vocables, which are just non-syllable words. And words are important in Native American music, but they don't use a lot of them, in the sense that they don't have, verse after verse after verse in their music. The words that they use are important, but they're, like I said, they're not a lot of them. But the words that they do use are repeated. There's a lot of repetition in Native American music. They use irregular rhythms, and there's usually not a lot of harmony. The musical talent in the Native American world is seen as spiritual as opposed to artistic, which is the difference between the mainstream American culture today. The instruments that are used in Native American culture, the number one instrument is percussion, drums. Drums are huge. They have a spiritual importance as well, but they are also the main instrument used in music itself. Flutes are also very important, as well as other percussion instruments such as rasps and rattles. Strings are used, but they are not as common. Native American dance really goes hand in hand with music. It has many of the same spiritual and social connotations as music does. It is a way for them to express and maintain their culture. And, if you refer back to the maps we saw just a couple of minutes ago, you might see why that might be important to them. I mean, it's just a physical expression of their music. Many of their dances serve specific purposes. I mean, they have specific names as well. Some of the general characteristics of their dances, and again, keep in mind, many of the dances, even though they may have the same names, can vary greatly according to the region and or the tribe itself. So these are just some general things to keep in mind. They are usually performed outside and around a fire. And they are usually performed in a circle form. Men and women usually have their own dances, but that doesn't mean that they never dance together, or sometimes they maybe start separately and then join together at the end. Women and men also have different, I would say, maybe forms of dancing. Women, when they dance, they tend to be more upright, and in general, their movements tend to be a little more subtle. Their arms and their hands tend to be a little closer to their bodies, whereas men, they tend to be a little more bent over, usually at the waist, and they have more movement in their arms. Their gestures tend to be a little more exaggerated. Their movements tend to be a little more athletic. They tend to have a little more jumping, leaping, things like that. As far as what they wear during the dances, obviously the style depends on the type of dance that they're doing. Now, here's one thing to keep in mind. This is very important. Please do not refer to what they are wearing as a costume. That is seen as, well, it is possibly seen as being offensive, and you would not want to do that. You would refer to what they are wearing as either an outfit or regalia. There are two things to keep in mind when referring to this is that one, usually it is handmade, and it can take weeks or months to make this because it can be very, very intricate. Or two, sometimes it is passed down from generation to generation, and sometimes each generation adds something, their own personal touch to the outfit or regalia. So either way, it is very personal, very special to the person who's wearing it. And now I've included just some pictures of both men and women's just traditional regalia, just to give you an idea of kind of what it looks like and the variations of the outfits that are used. And that is all I have for you. I hope I have provided you with a brief overview of Native American music and dance, and I thank you for your time.